Hey, College Math, welcome back. Here is 7.2. We'll look at another method of counting up votes, which in this case, we'll be looking at what's called the point system. And our objective is pretty much to define and use the point system method of voting. That should technically be counting the votes and determining the winner, but you kind of get it, right? So we've looked at plurality, okay, in the last video in 7.1, which was just to, our winner was gonna be whoever had the most first place votes based on the preference schedule. Okay, now we're going to look at the point system method of voting. Okay, and it's officially called the Borda count. The person who discovered it, their last name is Borda. Just so you know. Okay, and here, these steps right here, 1, 2, 3, are the steps to kind of determining the winner based on this method. Okay, so plurality was the simplest one. From here on out, it gets not super complicated. We just kind of have to add on a few more steps to each one. Okay. So for point system, the first thing you want to do is for each rank on the preference ballot, we're going to assign a number of points. Okay, and here's how we're going to do it. We're going to give the last choice, the last rank, 1 point, the second to last rank 2 points, and so on and so forth until we get to first place. And that first place person or thing, whatever the election is based on, they're going to receive n points, and n is the number of candidates, right? So if I have 3 candidates, last place we get 1 point. Second place, we get 2 points. First place, we get 3 points, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the point value for each place by the number of voters to find the number of points that each candidate wins in those columns, okay? That's kind of the confusing step, and so we're going to obviously go through that together to see what that looks like. And then once you do that, the last step is to total up the points for each candidate, and then the most points wins the election, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the first example, which we're just going to go ahead and we're going to use the same example as we did in 7.1 with the movies. And so here is our preference schedule that we made in those notes, okay? And so here we have 3 candidates. Let's write down our point designation. So we have the third choice is going to get 1 point for being third choice, right? Second choice will receive 2 points per vote, right? And then the first choice will receive 3 points. Okay. So what we're going to want to do with this method is we're going to want to create another table that shows how these points are being doled out. Okay. So I'm going to want to do number of voters here in my number of voters is the number of ballots, right? So I can actually just keep doing ballots. So number of ballots is still my first row. And it's still going to be those numbers that we came up with earlier. So 3, 1, 4, 1, 9. Okay, and so this is in a different order from your notes in the previous section 7.1. I just kind of switched the columns around a little bit to have the first choices together. So both the monsters and the first choice are together, both the cars and the first choice are together, etc. Okay, I just reorganize it. There's nothing to it. You don't ever have to reorganize it yourself when you do a problem separate. Okay, so here, the way that you kind of want to do this is in our next row here, this is our first choice, just like above. And I kind of want to notate here, just so I don't forget, that everybody in this column is going to get 3 points, okay? So I had monsters, cars, Toy Story. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 points and multiply that by the number of ballots for each winner, right? So in this column, there were 3 people that chose Monsters, Inc. as that first choice. So the number of points that Monsters, Inc. gets here is 3 times 3, which is 9. And I'll do that in a different color. So they get 9 points here. Then here in this category, in this column, only 1 person chose this next configuration. And so that'll be 3 points assigned to Monsters, Inc. because they got 3 times 1 point there. Now here for cars, I have 3 points times 4, so they get 12 points for being first place here in this category. And this one, Cars only got one person voting for them in that configuration, so they get 3 points here. And last but not least, Toy Story gets 3 points times 9. So they end up getting 27 points here in this box. Okay, so those are all the points that each of those candidates get for being the first choice. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do our second choice point designation. So for my second choices, those people are going to get, or those movies are going to get 2 points each for getting in second place. So I'm just going to copy down the order, right? I'm going to do Cars, Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Toy Story, Monsters Inc. And you pretty much just repeat. I'll do it in a different color to show that we're doing 2 points, second place. So here, Cars gets 3 times 2, which is 6 points. Here, Toy Story gets just 2 points. Here, Monsters Inc. will get 4 times 8, which is, or sorry, 4 times 2, which is 8. Here, Toy Story will just get 2. And then here, Monsters Inc. will get 18. 2 times 9, we get 18. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the last row for our third choice. Okay, so third choice candidates. So 1 point. And from our preference schedule above, that order was Toy Story, Cars, Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Cars. So then here are how the points get doled out. In this section, we get 1. I have 1 written here on my paper, but this should be 3. 3 times 1 is 3, not 1. Cars here gets 1 point. Toy Story here gets 4 points. Monsters Inc. gets 1. Sorry, I was making sure I didn't do that one wrong either. And then 9 points here. Okay. So then now what do we do? We're going to go ahead and add up all the points for each candidate. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. We can start with Monsters Inc. So Monsters Inc. is going to be adding this, 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 and this. Okay. So I'm going to do for Monsters Inc. My total number of points is going to be 9 plus 3 plus 8 plus 1 plus 18. Okay, so we get 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 8 is 20, plus 1 is 21, and then plus 18 is 39. Okay, and now I'm doubting myself, so I'm going to go ahead and just add that really quick. Yes, 39. Okay, so Monsters Inc. gets 39 points in that case. And then we have Cars. So for Cars, let me do it in a different color. So here are the points that Cars wins. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So Cars is going to get 6 plus 1 plus 12 plus 3 plus 9. Right? Yes. So then we get 7 plus 12 is 19 plus 3 is 22 plus 9 is 31. Yes, 31. Don't judge me for needing to take time to add. I just want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. And then our last one, we have the points for Toy Story. So this one, this one, this one, this one, and then the big one, the 27th. So Toy Story, we're going to have 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 27. Okay, so 3 plus 2, I'm just going to put it in the calculator. I'm not even going to try to. We get 38. Okay, just making sure I did that correctly since I did it wrong the first time on my paper. 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 27. Yes, okay. So there are our point totals. And so now you see that the winner changed. It's no longer Toy Story like it was in the last video with the plurality method. We get that our winner is Monsters, Inc. I don't know if I don't know if that title has an apostrophe. I think it's plural, not possessive. Okay. So the winner in this case with this different method is a different candidate, right? And so you can kind of see why having these different methods helps, right? Because maybe if you don't like one method, maybe you don't think one method was fair given the circumstances, right? You can always opt to choosing a different method, right? And there's never the method of voting that you use depends on the person running the election. There's not one good one. There's not one where like, oh, this is the situation, I'm going to use this, or oh, this is the situation, I'm going to use this, right? So you can always use whichever counting method you prefer, as long as you kind of are good with it, right? And so in this case, you had a different winner from the different method from 7.1, the plurality method, okay? Cool. Hopefully that sounds good to you guys. We did the point system method, which just to recap real quick, we used our preference schedule to create this new table where we got new points based off of, or new values based off of the amount of points that each candidate receives based on what choice they got, and just added up those points, right? A little more steps involved, but it's not too difficult, okay? I will see you in the next one. Didn't mean to open the chat. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.